Mayor, I'd like to call to order the work session meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council for April 15, 2021, to order at 7 o'clock p.m. On roll call, council members Balistrary.
Here.
Fakori. Here. Fasolo.
Here.
Golubek. Here. Pellegrin.
Here.
Council President Wetchler.
Here.
Mayor Coletti.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Erin. Welcome to our second session here this evening. Actually, a couple of you weren't here for the first session, but you didn't miss much at all. Okay. Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey require at the commencement of every meeting a statement of compliance be read by the presiding officer. Now, therefore, be advised that that meeting requirement for this meeting have been met by publishing an annual notice in the Record and Herald News of Woodland Park, and by posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk, as well as in a public place within the municipal building, and also by notifying interested citizens. Notice was posted on January 8th, 2021, and published on January 13th, 2021. Would anyone from the public care to speak at this point? Yes.
Jean Franklin, 35 Hillman Drive, and something very quick. I just want to thank Mr. Golubek the other day for sending the email very quickly, actually it's on Facebook, that there were shops available in Marshfield. I didn't need any, but as soon as I saw it, I sent it to Marlene DeStefano, who in turn sent it to everybody on the Board of Health. Then we sent it out to us, shared it with other people. Thank you for keeping the interest of Elmwood Park people, and I understand from Clarissa Proctor, the nurse, there were a number of walkthroughs that day, so thank you.
My pleasure. Elmwood Park always comes first.
Thank you, Jenny. Anyone else care to speak? If not, I will close the public portion. Erin?
Thank you, Mayor. First on the agenda this evening, we have our engineers report from Alimo Group. I'd like to welcome to his first meeting, Tom Lemanowitz. Was that good enough? Okay. So first we had the revised proposal for design services for the traffic signalization at River Road and River Drive. This was previously before the council and has now been revised by Lima Group. So with your approval, I will put that on the agenda for next week.
Yes, we appreciate the adjustment, Tom. Tell the boys back home.
Yes.
Okay.
And with that being said, Tom, the floor is yours to review the monthly status report. How the mayor and council normally do it is to just go over the items that have changed since the last meeting. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. It's nice to be here. Hopefully, we'll be able to do some great things together. The status report, this is my first report, so everything's new to me. So I'll just go through those items quickly, and if there's any additional questions, by all means, just yell out. The first item is a drainage improvement project. This is a town-wide system project. We're getting started on that with our survey to determine how best to deal with those isolated drainage issues. Rosemont Park, I did take a walk with the recreation director about the lighting. We're getting those wiring systems designed to give to the co-op vendor so that he can do his work and put those lights up around the park.
Tom, before you go on, let's just go back to the drainage problems. We had one recently that was completed by the gentleman that was here before you.
I think it was Washington.
Mike.
Yeah, East Washington and Washington. Mike took over there.
Right, and I
Yeah.
took them off the list,
Yeah.
and then we added one, I
Okay.
believe.
Well, the point I'm trying to get at is that that was executed very well.
Oh, thank you.
The shooting of the elevations was done right. The execution by the contractor was done right. And it was a very tight situation as far as water pitch, very limited. But that's the type of workmanship we're looking forward to on the balance of these going forward.
I will see to it, sir. The improvements to Muller Boulevard, that's basically, that is the one that PSE&G, we're kind of waiting for them to get out of the way so we can finish that one up. 2 other water main improvements, they're basically done. Marine improvements, I've gotten into that project and have a few ideas on how to make that project a little bit better, a little bit different, and still achieve what the borough's looking for. We've got some issues there with flood hazard area, not wetlands, but flood hazard area that we have to deal with. That limits what we can do there. CDBG Echo and Donor and Echo, that contractor told me he was going to start Monday, then he was going to start Wednesday, then he was going to start tomorrow. Now it's Monday again. So we're dealing with him as best we can.
Weather causing that, Tom?
It could be, but, you know, everybody watches Weather Channel. It's not that tough, you know.
10-day forecast in front of you, sure.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure, but we'll be able to get that done. Then once all the concrete work's done, PSE&G has to come in there, and then they're going to pave both of them. Cherry Hill parking lot, I have not been out to that site yet. Birchwood Park. This was a question I had for Ms. Delaney about the PAR revisions. Everything was filed with the county at this point?
That's correct. I have not heard back from them, but everything has been filed, and I do have proof that it was received.
Thank
So,
you. Stormwater management updates. I was going to go over that with Scott Cars, DPW, to make sure we're all in order there. New curbs on PSC and G streets. I spoke to Scott Cars about that. During this week, he was going to go to the PSC and G streets, see which ones need curbing. We'll make that list. I've also been in contact with PSC and G to ask them where they are with their various steps, water, gas main versus gas services, and when they plan to pave. So we're going to try to see if they can get some of the stuff paved earlier that we don't have to touch curbs on, and then do the rest later. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that simply because the paver wants to come in, do it, and get out. They don't want to have to keep coming back.
Right.
So we'll have to see how that goes. The other items, the head wall at Linwood and River, I'm going to give a call to Joe Femia tomorrow to see if we can't get an idea what's happening with that. River Road and River Drive intersection we just spoke about. The Veterans Memorial Park at Van Riper and Mola, I am in contact with the statue manufacturer. I'm going to be getting a proposal to the borough about survey and the plans to get all that together, electrical plans, grading plans and whatnot, so that we can get that underway.
Question, I think this is more for the chief and the mayor. Did we resolve that issue of who owns the land or whether we have,
Yeah.
so we have permission from that property owner?
It's ours.
Oh, it's ours. Good, thank you.
The purpose of the boundary survey is basically I want to find out where that right-of-way line is for the railroad. And then I know when talking with Scott, we've got a water main in there we got to be careful of because we're going to be cutting to make it flat enough for ADA compatibility. So we got to make sure we know where everything is. Grant applications, we were awarded the 2021 municipal aid grant for MOLA. So we'll be getting a proposal for that work to be designed and go out to bid. The TAP grant apparently was submitted, and we were going to be doing the grant for Gall Avenue, but apparently that we're going to be looking at that again. We did do the estimate for that, so I can get a proposal for that, or we can lump that in with one of the other smaller parks that I know Recreation wants to do, which would probably be better, get a little economy of scale there. The other stuff, there's just some that we're looking for some more direction on, which is Slaughterdam Road, pump station, a force main over the Passaic River, and the dog park.
Yeah. Force main over the Passaic River has been an ongoing,
Yes, I've heard it in the office for a while.
yeah. Naturally, we're trying to avoid the cost ourselves going out of pocket, but I think I should have let our attorney talk on this, because he was handling it.
With the main, as to the main over the bridge, the Market Street Bridge, they're moving, trying to get the grants from the federal government. They're about a year, 2 years behind. They're not talking about anything until they start addressing the grants. And then once the grants are addressed, then the county is supposed to be calling for all the municipalities that are affected by the grant or potential any comments or suggestions or recommendations. I had spoken already with the county engineer on this. I was told to wait back until we get notice from them, and they they will then address the issue with the sewer pipe.
Okay. Okay. So that's where we're at, Tom.
Okay.
They'll consider the request at that time, when they're, before they actually start doing any kind of stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
So what I think we're saying, Tom, we're going to Band-Aid that until we get this resolved.
And that's another thing, I did say to them that under the circumstances, the pipe is in pretty bad shape. I said, do you have any problems us doing some repair work on it so it can still be maintained? They said, no problem.
No problem.
And actually, there is one more grant item that's not on this list, because I just received it this morning. There's apparently some federal money out there, I emailed it in, available for infrastructure upgrades, federal grant money that just came out. So I'm going to go through that document. It was 50-something pages, so it's going to take a little bit to go through and see if, maybe we could see if there's any projects the town wants to go for. Those applications have to be in July, I think the end of July.
You know what, I meant to forward that to Ryan, that can do the legwork on that for us.
Right. Yeah, I'll send it over to him and just tell him, that we're looking at that.
On the lighter side, as far as the definition of infrastructure, are we sure exactly what it means today? I know it was different from yesterday. Will
Like
these chairs out here qualified as an infrastructure? That's, I guess, my question.
Green New Deal, Mayor. It's all Green New Deal. That's what it's going to be.
I know. I'd like to know where the green's going, though, that's all. All right.
Anything else for Tom?
No.
No, but thank you so much for your report.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
Tom,
much.
you.
welcome.
Thank you, welcome.
Great job.
Thank you.
Aaron, let's poke through the agenda. Yeah. We're going to move along on our agenda. If it was going to be a long agenda, we would have went into executive so that you professionals wouldn't have to be here that long. But,
They like being here.
yeah.
I already gave my wife a cup of tea.
She said, get out of the house, right? She said, go, go, go. Go to your meeting, go to your meeting.
So first on the agenda, under resolutions, we have a request from the American Legion regarding their bingo license from last year. They paid for the full year. They were only able to use a portion of it, so they are requesting that once they can reconvene bingo this year, that we apply the credit from last year towards this year. Myself as the clerk who issues the bingo licenses am fine with that. So as long as you guys are fine with that as well. Before I reissue this year's bingo license, I just want to make sure that, they completed the paperwork with the state, and then we'll do that. So, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, 2B is a refund for tax court judgments. Any questions? 2C is a coin drop / toss application from Defender Company number 4, and the dates are included on that.
Mike, we have no problem with that, right?
Bobby, you just skip on the floor.
2D is the recreation refund request. Oops, sorry. 2E is the fire department's first quarter stipend report. Any questions there? 2F is a request from our fire official to purchase radios that will be used by both the Fire Prevention Bureau and the fire department. Is everyone okay with that request? Okay, 2G is a liquor license transfer, and as I was speaking with the mayor and BA earlier reviewing the agenda, I just wanted to go over this a bit with everyone. We have 3 types of liquor licenses in the borough: a club license, which is for establishments like the VFW, American Legion. We have consumption licenses where you're at the establishment actually consuming the beverage, such as Blue 42. And then you have distribution, which is your liquor store. So this is for a distribution license. It's our only one that's available to purchase. It's currently a pocket license. So that means it's owned, but there is not a specific location. So they are looking right now to do a person-to-person transfer. keep it as a pocket license. When and if they do find a location for this liquor store, if approved, the location also needs to be approved by the mayor and council at that time.
Any questions on that?
Sal,
Yes.
have we ever had this before in Elmwood Park, a pocket to pocket? I've never heard of it, Jamie, did you?
Yeah.
We have the one on Route 46, although it was a consumption, that was a pocket to pocket as well.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know if we ever had
I'm
it before.
assuming at the time that the council will act at that particular time as an alcoholic beverage commission, so it'll be a separate sort of hearing.
When they find a location, you mean? Yes, it would be a separate application where it would be, a place-to-place transfer. So it would be a whole separate application where the council, because we have the ordinance on the books where it can't be X amount of feet from a school, the rec center, parks, another licensed establishment. So they would have to then come again in front of the council at that time.
Thank you.
So just also another quick note, right now it will be on the agenda for the 22nd. The only reason it may not be on the agenda is if the state tells me to hold off. I'm still waiting to hear from them, but I wanted to present it to everyone in case I hear back from the state before the 22nd, because they did submit this quite some time ago and they went through the whole background check process.
Thanks, Sarah.
2H is 2 volunteer firefighter applications. And then 2I is a request for the new hire at the Recreation Department. Our rec director in the past presented the hiring of a maintenance worker to handle the cleaning, typical like Giovanni type hire at the rec department. So this is his request, and the BA gave his approval as well. Any other questions on the resos? Okay, moving on to ordinances. 3A is in regards to our landscaping permits. I asked Mr. Ingraffia to draft this. I want to say 2 years ago in 2019, the mayor and council had decided the licensing of the landscaping permits would go to the building department, and we just never followed up. We realized with adjusting the ordinance. So this is just kind of backtracking so that it reflects that they're done through the building department. 3B is a parking prohibited request from our traffic division. So if everyone's okay with this request, Mr. Ingraffia can then draft that ordinance as well. Yes? Is everyone okay with that? Okay, and then lastly, 3C is a bond ordinance request that was submitted by our CFO in regards to our CDBG grant for 13th and 17th Avenue. It is a reimbursement grant, but the county requires that you show that you have the money in place, and then you get reimbursed after the project. So Mr. Vrogat has already drafted that bond ordinance for next week.
The only comment I'd like to make on this is, I think our engineer at some point has to come up with a design proposal for this, correct? Yes, they do, right? So I'm answering my own question, but the point I'm making is 13th through 17th Ave, there's a lot of streets that,
It's 13 and 17.
I understand that's what the grant is for, but I'm saying it may be in our interest to have them quote other streets in that area so that when it's bid out, we can get more bang for our buck, because we were limited which areas we could apply for on 17th Ave because of where the federal lines are of the different census tracts. So what I would ask is for, I guess, Tom to evaluate 13th through 17th and just see where they fall in relation to the ones we have grants for, just so we can have all options on the table when we do ask them to design this project.
So you want to hold off on this bond ordinance then?
That's a question for the bond council. If it's easy to expand the limits of the bond later, that's fine. I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, you could do a supplemental bond ordinance.
Yeah, I'm fine. I wanted to make that point.
Okay.
So we're going to go with the bonding as it is?
I guess.
Okay.
You guys have done that in the past with other bonds where you've needed to add more money, so it's typically not an issue. Okay, that's all I have for ordinances. For departmental reports, we have the planning board meeting minutes from February 10th, library board meeting minutes from February 22nd, rec advisory board minutes from February 22nd as well, the Millennium Strategies Report through March 2021, the Building Department Monthly Report for March 2021, the Municipal Court Monthly Report for March 2021, and then the Finance Department Monthly Report through March 2021. And I just wanted to note, just based on prior conversations when we were discussing this year's budget, 4G, the Finance Department Monthly Report, you can see laid out how each department is doing, the percentage of how much their budget has been spent. You could see it separated. S/W means salary and wages. O/E means their operating and expenses. So just wanted to point that out if you want to take a deeper look into that.
Thank you, Aaron, on that. That was something that was very important to I. Moving along,
Just-
council reports.
Mayor, quick question.
Yes,
Do we have an opening date for the library?
no.
Okay,
Yeah, hopefully we get by the end of the month. we should be on it.
okay.
Council reports. Councilwoman Ballesteri?
Just one thing, short. I'm just going to announce that we will finally have our in-person recreation meeting, and that will be on Monday at 7:30. So everyone is welcome, but, otherwise we've been basically doing it remotely. But other than that, progress, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Fasola?
Progress, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Fakori?
Progress, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Gullabek?
I just want to commend Scott Cars and the DPW. They started implementing the tree program this past week. There was a goal we set a few years ago, 222 new trees by 2022. With COVID and all, it took some while to get started, but they planted 60 this week. They're going to be able to do 30 more this year. And I want to say between when they started planting and today, like 40 more requests came in. So it's popular. It's a good thing. We're replacing trees that have naturally over the years been cut down for one reason or another. So I think it's a good program, and I'd like to commend him.
You know, Danny, the thing I like is that we're not planting in between the curb and the street sidewalk. It's, over the years, it was the perfect place to put a tree, it seemed, but now when public service comes through with the trimming, especially on the side of the street where the wires are, it looks like a B-52 bomber came right through and took the top of the tree off, which is horrendous.
And just to that point, I believe Scott intentionally picked trees that wouldn't get to those levels, even if they were near there.
Yeah.
So that there was a lot of thought put into the options.
Before I turn it over to you, Sal, the trick is to plant it on the people's property now. That's the trick. That's probably the most advisable spot to put that tree. Sal?
I just wanted to bring the council aware of the fact that I had a conversation with public service, with the tree cutting division. And I sort of complained to them, but I never got a chance to write the letter in reference to how they're cutting the trees. When I mentioned that, he says, that's our standard, that's how we do it.
Yeah.
I said, but it causes, at times, you have a V, and then sometimes the tree gets more growth this way from fall. They said, that's how we do it, and unless you have some sort of complaint of trees falling, says, give me a picture.
Well, I think the trick is going to be going forward, plant on your own property, stay away from the side that the wires are on, because that problem is going to prevail. And there's no way that even if we all got together throughout the whole state, the mayors and councils, they're going to fight public service on that. So it's not going to work, but by planting in the right spot now will help us in the future.
Mayor, I would still, if I could say, I would still write a letter. You know, it may do nothing, but I would let them have it in writing
Yeah.
that we're very dissatisfied with some of the way they did the work cutting those trees. Because
Yeah.
it's not very pleasant to look at after we're trying to beautify the areas.
No, it's not.
I took some pictures of fallen trees, so, and the pictures of the trees that I wrote, so I'm going to forward that to them.
And you can include in that letter that we're not happy with the fact that we're forced, due to their initiative to come in and modernize the pipelines, they're forcing us to pave half of the street that we don't have to. And that's not just in one street or two, it's throughout the whole town. So there's a cost that we have nothing to say about. Even though we've worked out a deal with the square footage, if half of the road was 10,000 square feet, they'll give us 10,000 square feet curb to curb. That's okay. But that other 5,000 square feet curb to curb that we got to pay, and if we didn't want to pave that, or we couldn't pave it, or we didn't have to, we're forced to. I can't understand why there hasn't been some type of a push with that. Yeah.
But the key here is also the growth of the trees.
Yeah,
That's the key.
yeah,
Once the trees only reach a certain level, then that's not a problem.
yeah. Okay,
But I'll send a letter out anyway.
okay. Thank you. Daniel, anything else?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Councilwoman Pellegrin?
Yes, two things. But first, I'd like to commend Councilman Gullabak for, he spearheaded the tree program, and that was a vision of his a year or so ago, and it really looks beautiful. There were many, many pictures on social media, and just to look at them and see his vision coming to life, I just wanted to commend him for his efforts. Very nice job. Also, Residents Assistance Program update. This Sunday, April 18th, Azez student volunteers will be doing a cleanup for our community. Over 40 volunteers will be on hand to clean up some areas of our town that need attention. This group has also been helping with our leaf cleanup for the last 3 years. We appreciate their commitment to Elmwood Park. Areas on the list to be cleaned up are Linden Ave along Route 80, Molnar Drive along Route 80, Van Riper Ave and Market Street along Route 80, East 55th Street from 18th Ave to Broadway, the railroad track side, Mola Boulevard from Hillman Drive to Paulsa Ave, Market Street from Beaumar Place to Brookside Ave, and Park and Ride Route 46 West. So we want to thank them for their efforts. This group has been helping the Residents Assistance Program, like I said, for the past 3 years, and they do a good job for our community, and we appreciate them and we thank them. Progress, Mayor.
Thank you, Mrs. Pellegrin. Council President Wetchler.
Yes, Danny, I'd like to thank you too for doing the trees. Let me tell you, without your vision, it wouldn't have happened. So please, thank you very much. Now, for the chief, I want to commend you on TV the other night. I want to tell you, really, I had people say to me, that was nice of you to do it, to explain to people how it could happen, that they didn't understand. A lot of people did not understand, mainly senior citizens, let me tell you, my age, didn't understand how it could happen, but you explained it in a way that everybody understood it, and they were happy, and they said, thank you for doing it for us. Danny, the library should be, finished by the end of the month. Progress.
Let's hope with the library that that's what's going on.
Ask them if they want a tree on the property.
Yeah.
You're right. I think we should, an aside.
Yeah, well, if there's a couple extra, we can use a couple in there.
Yeah, Danny, really, I understand, that's a good idea.
All right, let's move the meeting along. May I have a motion to open to public?
So moved.
All in favor? Anyone from the public here to speak? Yes, Jeff?
Jeffrey Freitag, 35 Woodland Drive. Just one thing quick regarding the library. I sent you an email. I sent Mrs. Policano, but for some reason hers didn't go through. I guess I had the wrong email. And I sent a couple other members. I thought I had yours. I didn't. But regardless, last Sunday or Saturday, I believe it was, right now the federal government gave New Jersey money, and the application had to be in by the 19th. 50 libraries have already submitted requests for funding. Now, whether it be for a tree or whatever, I would hope the library would consider it.
I forward that email. Mike,
We connected Kevin with our grant writers to explore that.
yeah.
Yep.
We don't let no money go by if we can get our hands on it.
I didn't get a response, so I don't know.
You won't from me. That's just the way. Yeah. How do you think I stayed married for 50 years? When my wife would get on my case, I just shut my mouth and walked away.
But you weren't at the meeting last night because you got hacked and you didn't have a computer.
Well, that's because I did something stupid. No, that's because I did something. I answered an email I shouldn't have, and they just wheeled me in like fish, and I feel like chump today. Anyone else from the public care to speak? If not, I'll close the public portion. Aaron,
Mayor, if we can have a motion to enter into executive session.
All in favor?
Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that certain circumstances presently exist, and whereas the governing body wishes to discuss personnel matters and litigation legal reports, minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires that confidentiality, then the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved that the public be excluded from this meeting.
Good night, Terry.